Love, Lies, Bleeding is the new film from writer-director Rose Glass, the director of the underrated A24 flick Saint Maud. Love Lies Bleeding is a dark, twisted tale about what it's like to fall in love with a complete psychopath. With some solid performances and a killer vibe, Love Lies Bleeding is a movie I definitely recommend. So the movie is about Kristen Stewart's Louise. Louise works at a local gym, unclogging shitty toilets and constantly trying to dodge a sex worker that just hangs around. Then one day, Jackie walks in, a big, buff, confident woman that Louise takes a liking to. They eventually fall in love, and their love takes some dark turns when they discover Louise's stepbrother has been abusing her sister, and Louise has had enough. So I think the biggest thing this movie has going for it is its look and feel. This movie is set in the 80s, and boy, does it feel like it. From the costumes, the set design, and overall aesthetic, Love Lies Bleeding is rich in tone. And I appreciate that there is no text on screen to declare what time we're in. We can just tell what decade we're in by the clever use of set design, costumes, and props. Along these same lines, another thing I dug was that the film has like a dirty, grimy feel to it. This is not a film where we go to wealthy neighborhoods, country clubs, or beach houses. Love Lies Bleeding revels in the dusty dirt of an industrial town of the lower to middle class. In terms of atmosphere, this film reminded me more of something like Red Rocket. I've always been drawn to movies about small town people trying to accomplish big things, and I think that there is a piece of this movie that feeds me that meal. But then things get pretty murdery real quick, and those small town dreams get put on hold. I can't stress enough how amazing the two leads are. Kristen Stewart and Katy O Brien are incredible together. Maybe it's because I've never really seen Katy O Brien before, but I thought she was the standout. She brings gravitas to an overall complicated character in Jackie. Jackie is almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type, and I think O'Brien nails that split performance. Stewart also puts in a memorable performance, one that actually grew on me more and more as the film moved along. The first half of the film, I felt like it was just a normal, solid performance. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't really anything stellar either. But when shit starts to hit the fan in the second half of the film, Stewart's performance goes from solid to incredible. She is a blast to watch in the second half of this film. The remaining cast is great with what they're given, but it's really not a whole lot. Ed Harris is creepy and dominating as ever. Dave Franco basically plays Dave Franco, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. He's fun to watch. And then Jenna Malone is basically just abused housewife. The side characters are all fun and interesting, but it's clear that this movie really belongs to Stewart and O'Brien. So what about the story? The story was a bit hit and miss for me. I'll try and refrain from spoilers and only cover story beats that is in the trailer. So Louise and Jackie fall in love, and eventually there is a murder, and that murder spirals the relationship. I think where the story goes is handled very well, but I can't help but feel like the movie was a bit familiar. It's a classic, oh no, we murdered, we need to try and keep it under wraps type of story. Granted, there are sprinkles of nuance that keep it fresh, but as a whole, it did feel a little bit redundant. I think my favorite aspect of the relationship is how Louise is always cleaning up for Jackie. That part I really loved. Louise is almost like a vampire familiar, always cleaning up the mess so that the vampire can continue doing what it does. And I thought that was like a cool aspect of Louise. Another aspect is how over the course of the film we slowly learn of both Jackie and Louise's dark past. Because boy, they have some skeletons in their closet, and those skeletons eventually burst out as the film comes to a close. And ultimately, this film is about love and how far we're willing to protect that love. We sometimes move through life as if no one truly sees us, and when we find that special someone that sees us fully, we want to hold on to that person and protect them at all costs. Now, before I close here, I just want to say something for those who have seen the movie. There is a massive moment that happens in the climax of this film, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. I just want to say, no, that was not real, which I know kind of sounds obvious, but I have seen some chatter online about that scene being a real thing. I think the events are the same, but the that massive bit that did not happen. So in the end, I think Love Lies Bleeding is a film worth checking out. It's got a great tone and atmosphere, amazing performances from the two leads, and some great twists and turns in the second half of the film. The story isn't anything wholly original, but it does enough to keep it fresh for an enjoyable viewing. So yeah, I recommend Love Lies Bleeding. Have you seen it yet? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.